Right now, inside your body, there is a hormone that is silently making you gain belly fat, destroying your sleep, and accelerating aging in ways most doctors never even mention during a routine checkup. There are 643 types of fruits in the world. Markets are full of color. Supermarkets are full of promises. But after working with seniors for decades, I can tell you something that will surprise you. Out of all those fruits, only a very small handful truly make a difference when you are over 70 and struggling with high cortisol, stubborn belly fat, and broken sleep. If you are waking up at 2 or 3 in the morning for no clear reason, that is not just old age. If your belly feels softer and heavier, even though you are eating less, that is not just calories. After 70, your body becomes more sensitive to stress signals. Blood sugar shifts more easily. Cortisol rises faster and stays elevated longer. And when cortisol stays high at night, it pulls you out of deep sleep and quietly tells your body to store fat around your midsection for protection. Most seniors respond the wrong way. They cut fruit completely. They fear natural sugars. They eat lighter and lighter at night, thinking they are helping. But sometimes that makes the problem worse. When your body senses instability, it releases more stress hormones. The key is not avoiding fruit. The key is choosing the right fruit at the right time so your body feels safe enough to calm down. In this video, we will reveal the only 5 fruits that can help lower cortisol, reduce stubborn belly fat, and support deeper sleep after 70, ranked from least powerful to most powerful. And wait until you hear about number 2. It is not exotic. It is not expensive. But it has one of the strongest calming effects on nighttime stress chemistry that I have seen. If you want to understand the research and reasoning behind these choices, I placed the supporting information below for you. Before we dive in, here's a quick question. How old are you right now? And what time do you usually wake up during the night? I genuinely read through your comments because your real experiences matter more than theory. Now, let's begin with number 5, the fruit most people overlook, but that quietly starts resetting your stress response. Number 5, oranges. When most people think of oranges, the first thing that comes to mind is vitamin C and maybe fighting off a cold. But what almost nobody realizes is that this common everyday fruit is one of the most effective natural cortisol fighters that science has ever studied. A remarkable study published in the journal Psychopharmacology took a group of older adults and gave them vitamin C supplementation equivalent to what you would find in about 2 large oranges per day. And then they put those people through intense stress tests designed to spike their cortisol levels as high as possible. What happened next stunned the researchers. The group receiving the vitamin C saw their cortisol levels drop back to normal nearly twice as fast as the group that did not receive it. And those same participants reported feeling significantly less anxious and stressed during the entire experiment. The reason this works so powerfully comes down to how vitamin C interacts with your adrenal glands, which are the 2 small glands sitting right on top of your kidneys that are responsible for producing cortisol in the first place. Your adrenal glands actually contain one of the highest concentrations of vitamin C anywhere in your entire body. And when you are stressed and pumping out cortisol all day long, those glands burn through their vitamin C reserves at an alarming rate. When the reserves run low, the adrenal glands essentially lose their ability to regulate cortisol production properly, which means the hormone just keeps flowing and flowing without an off switch. By eating oranges regularly, you are directly replenishing those reserves and giving your adrenal glands the raw material they need to function correctly and bring cortisol back under control. But the benefits for people over 70 go far beyond just cortisol. A study from the University of Arizona found that adequate vitamin C intake was associated with significantly less visceral belly fat in older adults, and researchers believe this is directly connected to the cortisol-lowering effect because when cortisol drops, your body stops receiving the signal to store fat around your midsection. On the sleep side of things, a study published in the Journal of Research in Medical Sciences found that vitamin C levels in the blood were directly associated with sleep quality, with those having higher levels experiencing deeper and more restorative sleep patterns. Now, the best way to get the maximum benefit from oranges is to eat them whole, rather than drinking orange juice, because when you eat the whole fruit, you are getting all of the fiber, which slows down the sugar absorption and prevents any blood sugar spikes that could actually work against you. The ideal approach is to have one orange in the morning with your breakfast and another one as an afternoon snack, because splitting your intake throughout the day keeps a steady supply of vitamin C flowing to your adrenal glands rather than giving them one big dose that your body will simply flush out. Choose oranges that feel heavy for their size because that means they are full of juice and nutrients, and navel oranges or blood oranges tend to have some of the highest vitamin C content of any variety. If you find regular oranges too acidic on your stomach, Cara oranges are a wonderful option because they are naturally lower in acid while still packing the same vitamin C punch, and you can even eat them chilled from the refrigerator, which many people find makes them taste even sweeter and more refreshing. The key is consistency because the cortisol-lowering effects build over time as your adrenal glands stay fully stocked with the vitamin C they need to do their job properly every single day. But oranges are just the beginning, because the next fruit on our list works through a completely different mechanism that is even more powerful. Before we keep going, make sure to hit like and subscribe. What's coming up next is too important to miss. Number 4. Bananas. Now, this one might surprise you because bananas are often avoided by people over 70 due to concerns about sugar content. But cutting bananas out of your diet could actually be one of the worst things you are doing for your cortisol levels, your belly fat, and especially your sleep. Here is why. Bananas are one of nature's richest sources of potassium and magnesium, two minerals that work together like a dynamic duo to calm your entire nervous system from the inside out. A critical study published in the journal Magnesium Research found that magnesium deficiency, which affects an estimated 68% of adults over 65, directly causes elevated cortisol production because magnesium is literally required for the chemical reaction that tells your adrenal glands to stop making cortisol once the stressful event has passed. Without enough magnesium, your cortisol stays elevated for hours or even days longer than it should, and during that entire time your body is storing fat, breaking down muscle, and suppressing your immune system. One medium banana contains about 32 milligrams of magnesium and over 400 milligrams of potassium. And that potassium plays its own crucial role because research from the Hypertension Institute found that potassium directly counteracts the effects of cortisol on blood pressure and fluid retention, two things that become increasingly dangerous as you age past 70. But perhaps the most exciting thing about bananas for older adults is what they do for sleep. And this is where the science gets truly fascinating. Bananas contain an amino acid called tryptophan, which your brain converts into serotonin and then into melatonin, the exact hormone you need to fall asleep and stay asleep throughout the night. A study published in the Journal of Pinnell Research found that eating foods high in tryptophan increased melatonin production in the blood by over 200%. And participants fell asleep faster and experienced significantly more deep sleep compared to the control group. For people over 70, this is incredibly important because natural melatonin production declines dramatically with age, which is one of the main reasons older adults struggle so much with insomnia and wake up multiple times during the night. Instead of taking synthetic melatonin supplements, which can leave you groggy and may interfere with your body's natural production over time, bananas provide the building blocks your brain needs to manufacture its own melatonin naturally. Regarding belly fat, a study from the journal Nutrients found that potassium intake was inversely associated with waist circumference in older adults, meaning those who consumed more potassium consistently had smaller waistlines, and researchers attributed this partly to potassium's ability to reduce cortisol-driven fat storage, and partly to its role in reducing water retention and bloating that can make your midsection look and feel larger than it actually is. The absolute best way to eat bananas for maximum cortisol and sleep benefits is to have one banana about 60 to 90 minutes before bedtime, because this gives your body enough time to convert the tryptophan into serotonin and eventually melatonin right when you need it most. Choose bananas that are slightly ripe with a few brown spots because as bananas ripen, their starch converts to natural sugars, which actually makes the tryptophan more available to your brain. And the resistant starch in slightly green bananas can be harder to digest for many older adults, causing uncomfortable bloating. You can slice it onto a small bowl of warm oatmeal or simply eat it plain. And if you find that eating right before bed bothers your stomach, you can move it to about 2 hours before bedtime and still get most of the sleep benefits while also enjoying the cortisol lowering effects of the magnesium and potassium throughout the night. If you think bananas are impressive, wait until you hear what the next fruit does because researchers called it a natural stress eraser. Number 3. Kiwi. This small fuzzy fruit that most people completely overlook in the grocery store has become one of the most exciting discoveries in sleep and stress research over the past decade, and the studies coming out about kiwi and its effects on older adults are nothing short of remarkable. The most famous study was conducted at Taipei Medical University, where researchers gave adults 2 kiwis 1 hour before bedtime every night for 4 weeks, and the results were so dramatic that they made headlines in medical journals around the world. Participants fell asleep over 35% faster, their total sleep time increased by over 13%, and their overall sleep quality improved by a staggering 42% as measured by validated scientific sleep assessments. The researchers believe this incredible effect comes from kiwi's unique combination of serotonin, antioxidants, and folate working together in a way that no other single fruit can match. Kiwi is one of the very few fruits that actually contains serotonin itself, not just the building blocks of serotonin, but the actual neurotransmitter. And when you consume it in the evening, your brain receives a direct boost of the exact chemical it needs to transition into sleep mode. On top of that, kiwis are absolutely loaded with vitamin C, actually containing more per gram than oranges, which, as we already discussed, is essential for bringing cortisol levels back down. But kiwi also contains a powerful antioxidant called actinitin along with high levels of vitamin E, and a study from the University of Oslo found that this specific combination of antioxidants significantly reduces oxidative stress markers in the blood, which is important because oxidative stress and cortisol create a vicious cycle in older adults where each one makes the other worse. When oxidative stress is high, it triggers more cortisol production, and when cortisol is high, it creates more oxidative stress. So by attacking oxidative stress with kiwi's unique antioxidant profile, you are essentially breaking that destructive cycle from both directions simultaneously. For belly fat specifically, a study published in the British Journal of Nutrition found that the high fiber and low glycemic nature of kiwi helped regulate insulin sensitivity in older participants. And since insulin resistance works hand in hand with elevated cortisol to drive abdominal fat storage, improving insulin function through kiwi consumption had a direct positive effect on waist circumference over time. The anti-inflammatory compounds in kiwi have also been shown in research from Massey University to reduce inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, which are both a cause and consequence of visceral fat accumulation in people over 70. Now, to get the absolute maximum benefit from kiwi, the research is very specific about this. You want to eat 2 kiwis approximately 1 hour before you go to bed. You can eat them with the skin on, which actually contains 3 times more fiber and significantly more antioxidants than the flesh alone. And if the fuzzy skin bothers you, try golden kiwis, which have a smooth, thin skin that is much more pleasant to eat. Simply wash the kiwi thoroughly, slice off the 2 ends, and then either slice it into rounds and eat its skin and all, or scoop out the flesh with a spoon if you truly cannot tolerate the skin. Do not cook kiwis or blend them into hot beverages because heat destroys many of the delicate compounds that make them so effective for sleep and cortisol reduction. And try to eat them fresh rather than from a can, since canned kiwi has lost most of its vitamin C and serotonin content during the preservation process. Consistency is absolutely essential with kiwi because the Taipei study showed that the benefits were moderate after 1 week, but became dramatic after 4 weeks of nightly consumption. So give it a full month before judging whether it is working for you. But the next fruit on our list takes things to another level because it targets cortisol in a way that scientists did not even think was possible until recently. Number 2. Tart cherries, not regular sweet cherries that you might snack on during summer, but specifically tart cherries, also known as Montmorency cherries, are what many sleep researchers are now calling the single most effective natural sleep aid ever studied. And for people over 70 dealing with elevated cortisol and stubborn belly fat, the evidence is absolutely compelling. The landmark study that changed everything was published in the European Journal of Nutrition, where researchers gave older adults with insomnia tart cherry juice twice a day for 2 weeks and measured their sleep using gold standard clinical methods. The participants slept an average of 84 minutes longer per night, which is a massive improvement that rivals many prescription sleep medications, and their sleep efficiency, meaning the percentage of time in bed actually spent sleeping, improved significantly as well. When the researchers tested the participants' melatonin levels, they found that the tart cherry group had dramatically higher circulating melatonin compared to the placebo group, and this makes sense because tart cherries are one of the very few food sources that contain significant amounts of natural melatonin, along with tryptophan and anthocyanins that help your body use that melatonin more effectively. But the cortisol connection is where things get really interesting for older adults specifically. A study from Northumbria University found that tart cherry supplementation significantly reduced cortisol levels in participants, and the researchers identified the mechanism as the powerful anthocyanins in tart cherries directly inhibiting the enzyme called 11-beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase, which is responsible for activating cortisol in your tissues. In simpler terms, tart cherries do not just reduce how much cortisol your body makes, they actually block your tissues from activating and using cortisol, which means even if your levels are somewhat elevated, your body experiences less of the damaging effects. This is incredibly important for belly fat because research published in the Journal of Medicinal Food showed that tart cherry consumption was associated with significant reductions in abdominal fat and lower levels of inflammatory markers that drive visceral fat accumulation. The study specifically noted that participants experienced reductions in belly fat even without caloric restriction, suggesting that the cortisol and inflammation-lowering properties of tart cherries were directly responsible for the change. Another fascinating study from the University of Michigan using animal models found that a tart cherry-enriched diet reduced total body fat by over 9% and specifically targeted belly fat accumulation, while also reducing inflammatory markers by up to 45%, leading researchers to suggest that tart cherries work on the same metabolic pathways that connect stress, inflammation, cortisol, and abdominal fat storage. The most effective way to incorporate tart cherries into your routine is to drink 8 ounces of 100% tart cherry juice about 30 minutes to 1 hour before bedtime, and make absolutely sure you are buying tart cherry juice, not cherry cocktail or cherry-flavored drinks, which contain almost none of the active compounds. Look for Montmorency tart cherry juice, specifically with no added sugars, and you can find it in concentrate form, which you mix with water, and is often more affordable and just as effective. If the tartness is too much for you, mixing it with a small amount of sparkling water makes it more pleasant without diluting the benefits significantly. And some people find that having a second smaller serving in the morning helps with all-day cortisol management as well as nighttime sleep. Now, everything we have covered so far is powerful, but the number one fruit on this list is in a category of its own, and the research behind it will absolutely blow your mind. Number 1. Blueberries. This tiny, unassuming berry that fits on the tip of your finger has been called a superfruit so many times that most people have become numb to the claim. But when you actually look at the clinical research specifically regarding cortisol reduction, belly fat loss, and sleep improvement in older adults, blueberries are not just impressive, they are in a completely different league from every other fruit on this list. The study that first caught the attention of the scientific community was published in the Journal of Nutrition, where researchers at Louisiana State University gave older adults with metabolic syndrome the equivalent of 1 cup of blueberries daily for 6 months and found that they experienced significant reductions in cortisol levels, measurable decreases in abdominal fat, and improvements in multiple cardiometabolic risk factors that are all linked to chronic stress. What makes blueberries so uniquely powerful is their extraordinarily high concentration of anthocyanins, the same compounds found in tart cherries, but in much greater concentration and diversity, along with pterostilbene, a compound that researchers from the University of Memphis discovered has the remarkable ability to directly influence the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which is the master control system that regulates your entire stress response and cortisol production. By modulating this axis at the highest level, blueberries do not just address cortisol symptoms, they address the root cause of cortisol dysregulation that becomes increasingly problematic after age 70. A groundbreaking study from the University of Reading, published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, found that older adults who consumed blueberries daily showed significantly improved vascular function and reduced blood pressure, both of which are directly worsened by chronic cortisol elevation, and the participants also showed measurably improved cognitive function, which researchers linked to reduced neuroinflammation caused by lower cortisol levels reaching the brain. For belly fat specifically, a study at the University of Michigan found that blueberry-enriched diets activated genes that regulate fat burning and fat storage in a way that specifically reduced visceral abdominal fat, and this effect was independent of total caloric intake, meaning the blueberries were literally reprogramming how the body handles fat at a genetic level. The sleep benefits are equally remarkable because research from the University of Arkansas found that the polyphenols in blueberries significantly improved sleep quality by reducing oxidative stress in the brain and supporting the production of gamma-aminobutyric acid, also known as GABA, which is the primary calming neurotransmitter your brain needs to quiet down racing thoughts and transition into deep sleep. For people over 70 who often find their minds racing at night, preventing them from falling asleep, this GABA-boosting effect of blueberries is incredibly valuable. To get the maximum cortisol-crushing belly fat melting and sleep-improving benefits from blueberries, you want to consume 1 full cup of fresh or frozen blueberries every single day, and frozen blueberries are actually equal to or even slightly better than fresh ones because they are flash frozen at peak ripeness, which locks in the anthocyanin content, and they are typically much more affordable, making daily consumption realistic and sustainable. The best time to eat them is split between morning and evening, having half a cup with breakfast to set your cortisol regulation on the right track for the entire day, and the other half cup in the evening to support your body's transition into restful sleep. You can eat them straight from the bag, add them to yogurt, or let frozen ones thaw slightly until they become like little sorbet bites, which is a delicious way to enjoy them. Avoid cooking or baking blueberries at high temperatures because this destroys a significant portion of the anthocyanins, and never buy blueberry-flavored products thinking you are getting the same benefits because they contain virtually none of the compounds that make real blueberries so effective. Now you know the 5 most powerful cortisol-lowering, belly fat-fighting, sleep-improving fruits that science has identified. And the beautiful thing is that these are not expensive supplements or complicated treatments. They are simple whole fruits that you can pick up on your next trip to the grocery store and start benefiting from immediately. Your body already knows exactly what to do with these natural compounds. It just needs you to provide them consistently. If you found this information helpful and you want to see more science-backed videos like this one that can genuinely improve your health and quality of life, please hit that subscribe button right now and tap the bell so you never miss a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.